Hi Neeraj, welcome to Loudspeaker.
Hello, Shweta. How are you?
Very good, thank you. So, as we were discussing, I told you that this is a project that I wanted to try and start. We are almost 4.6 million Indians living in the US. It's a huge number.
It's very big now.
And every year, there are almost in hundreds of thousands more people coming. And now, with the ease of H-1B visa, and I think ease of the fast tracking of the green card application, I think more and more Indians are going to come and stay. So it's a huge community, and I felt I've been thinking about this for some time. और मुझे ऐसा लगा कि हम अपने ही सर्कल में रहते हैं. Wherever we live, we are in a small community of Indians, and we get to know about what people are doing in our own city. But अगर देखा जाए तो in big states like California, Illinois, New Jersey, New York and everything, there are a lot more Indians living. उनके वहाँ पे जो बहुत फेमस हो जाते हैं, स्पेशली इन द एंटरटेनमेंट इंडस्ट्री और मे बी इन द फाइनेंशियल इंडस्ट्री और फेमस एंटरप्रेन्योर्स, उनके बारे में वी गेट टू नो. But apart from that, there are so many more of us that do amazing work, that have some impact in our community, on our society, and we don't get to know about them. Our kids born and brought up here or who have immigrated like us, हमारे बच्चे, उनको भी बिकॉज दे आर लिविंग इन दिस कंट्री, सो इट्स वेरी नेचुरल कि वो यहाँ पे रहेंगे तो दे आर एक्सपोज टू ऑल अमेरिकन इन्फ्लुएंसर्स, रोल मॉडल्स एंड एवरीथिंग. बट उनको भी एक वेरी स्मॉल पोर्शन इंडियंस के बारे में पता चलता है. सो दिस इज़ माई अटेम्प्ट टू ब्रिंग अबाउट मोर अवेयरनेस एंड मोर काइंड ऑफ मेक अ लाइब्रेरी ऑफ सॉर्ट्स. जैसे कि जो हम इंडियंस इंडिया के बाहर रह रहे हैं, हमें इनके बारे में पता चले, बट इवन इंडियंस लिविंग इन इंडिया, उनको भी हमारे बारे में पता चले कि पीपल लाइक अस हु आर लिविंग आउटसाइड, हमारी लाइफ कैसी है, हमारे व्हाट थिंग्स आर वी डूइंग, हाउ आर वी इम्पैक्टफुल, हाउ आर वी इन्फ्लुएंसिंग सोसाइटी. सो नीरज, टेल अस अ लिटिल बिट अबाउट योरसेल्फ.
So it's very common and resonate with a lot of people. Grew up in India. I was born and brought up in Bihar. Had my education in Bihar and some in Chandigarh, and then finally in BIT Ranchi, Mesra. And through campus, got selected. I won't name the company, but I lasted about 7 days before I quit that organization, and I went to a different company. Stayed in India for a year and a half. Luckily, computer science was booming. So I got a stint to work in Sony Corporation through this consulting firm based out of Delhi in Singapore for a year and a half. And after my return, I was being pestered to go back to Singapore again. And a lot of my friends from my college were in US itself. Emails had become common then, and we were in touch, as we still are, and folks were like, get your butt out here. So finally I landed up in US soon after I came back home.
Okay, but what made those folks tell you, come here, or what made you decide to come to the US in particular?
The industry I was in, having a US visa was okay, do you have US work experience? Mm-hmm. That was the critical question that was going on in mind, and people would ask that. And I felt it was necessary to gain that experience to grow in your career at that point of time. Having said that, when I came to US, I did not want to stay here. My goal was I will stay for 2 years, mm-hmm. get my experience, go to Europe, stay another 2 years, go to Australia, 2 years, go back home.
I think that will resonate with a lot of people.
That will resonate with a lot of people.
Yeah.
I did not even apply for my green card for the first 16, 18 months I was here. Mm-hmm. I applied for green card early 99, and I was persistent that I would apply only in EB2 category, which is for the masters. Mm-hmm. And I remember my immigration lawyer telling me that it's going to get rejected, and I was elated that if it gets rejected, I get to go back home. Mm-hmm. And I think in hindsight, That led to a much faster approval and everything else. In 2001, I had the green card. So 24 months after I started, or about 30 months after I started, I had the green card. And giving up the Indian citizenship was a big deal. So I was eligible in 2005, 2006. I did not give it up till 2007, and that time the PIO concept had come that you can still be a person of Indian origin. You don't have to get a visa. You can go to India when you want. And that was, by that time kids were born, and I knew for sure that it's going to be a difficult decision to move back home. But that what if always remains, right?
Yeah, so just hold your thought. I think whatever you have said, as I said, will resonate with a lot of people. And a lot of us, we come here or we leave India thinking we'll go outside, gain the experience, earn whatever, and come back.
Yeah.
And then almost, I think 80% of us don't end up going back. So you said your kids were born here and it was difficult for you to go back then. But why do you think was it difficult? Because with kids also, people can go back and start fresh in India, because everything will be new for kids, and kids, as you know, are very resilient and flexible. So what was it that held you back?
Candid with you, right? Other than the experience, it was also the financial aspect of that. Let's go make some money. So money was not a problem in 2008. What held me back was the fact that it was an interesting phase, because when you come to US, you meet people of the same age, you get married pretty much at the same year here or there. Your kids are born, they're all of the same age. And during that time, in your career also, you are pretty similar to where you have to be. And a few of those brave souls tried to go back. And they did take the opportunity of working with a company, getting an employment there, going back. We helped them pack their stuff and leave, and then we helped them unpack their stuff when they came back. So we saw that, and there were some brave souls who tried to do it twice. But once you start living here, one big difference is that here you have big issues, right? Healthcare, insurance, taxation, and the myriad things that you talk about. In India, to get assimilated, you have left the daily ka chik behind. आज काम वाली नहीं आई है, आज बिजली नहीं है, आज पानी नहीं है, आज ये नहीं है, आज वो नहीं है, आज वहाँ सड़क पे गड्ढे में कुछ हो गया. Well, so when you look at all of those things, I'm not saying India is great. I love India. India is great. And I would love to live in India if that opportunity ever comes again. But I think the challenges are very different. It's more difficult for our kids to get adapted to that, because certain things are normal for them. A functioning internet, having electricity throughout the day, access to clean water, right? So all of these things, and when they go for a short amount of time, they survive really well. But when you have to live in and day out, it's a big deal. They have been taught here to grow very independent. There is a concept of privacy, and in India there is no concept of privacy, and that's very bothering to them. And this was basically based on what I learned from my friends who came back. When I asked them, what made you return back? And professionally too, the work culture is very different. I remember working in India, I would not mind working weekends even, and spending 12-hour days some days. But in US, you kind of get groomed to a very different kind of lifestyle, and you have a work-life balance, and the expectation in India is very different, and that drives a lot of people crazy, because your family's expectations are different from you spending time with them now. So I think these were some of the reasons they gave me. I'm not sure how much of it this is truth or not, because I never tried that route. But I can totally understand if these challenges exist in front of me, I'll probably be questioning myself that should I go back and reestablish myself, or do I continue and see where it goes,
I also feel even when I think about it, I also feel that जो हमारा सर्कल होता था, फ्रेंड्स होता था, everybody is spread out. Family जैसे पहले सब एक ही शहर में रहते थे. Now people are everywhere. So even now when I think of going back and living there for maybe few months at a time, मुझे लगता है कि सब लोग इधर उधर हैं. Then again reconnecting, and people have moved on, and it's not going to be the same. Indian experience might not be the same what we had when we were younger, and if we had lived there, तो वो शायद different होता.
There may be some element of truth to it. Your friends also have moved on to greener pastures, and nobody's in the same location. If they are in government job, you are being transferred in different locations. That's true. But what I feel is where you could still have come together is the moments of joys and sadness. जब घर में कोई शादी हो या किसी की death हुई हो, that brings together. Here, it's a chore, right? You cannot just leave everything and fly India. Oh, there is a marriage, you plan for it, 5 days, 7 days, you are there. You enjoy the togetherness, and then you make it happen. Same with when things don't go right in your extended family or in your family. You are there, you can get together. Here, it's very difficult, and it's an immigrant's nightmare actually getting a phone call in the middle of the night, come back home. There is a they don't tell you outright, but they ask you to come back home because they don't want you to be worried. And more often than not, you're scared of getting those phone calls.
100%.
Yeah. So I think they're good and bad with every situation.
What is your commentary about Indians living here in terms of, you have lived in, I think, Chicago?
I lived in Chicago, Ohio, and Florida now.
And Florida, and you also keep going to California.
I keep traveling.
So what is your experience like? How would you say people living in Chicago are different from people in Ohio? People in the sense Indians and Indians over here.
I think you can take an Indian out of India. You cannot take India out of an Indian. And that's another conflicted problem our kids face on a daily basis. Within the home, they have to be an Indian. They are expected to eat Indian food, which for the most part they do, and some days they don't. But they follow our tradition, our cultures, our holidays, and everything else. The moment they step out, they now get immersed themselves in Americans. They identify as Americans. So when you go to India, or California or Chicago or Ohio, I did not find any difference. I think Indian community is a very inclusive community. And when I say Indian, I say with the greater Indian subcontinent, which includes Pakistani, Nepali, and others. And outside of India, there is a lot of love in these people, right? You look as a person, not as what your country of origin is. And believe it or not, Bollywood and our temples are a very big factor of bringing the sense of community in them. There's a lot of strength. There's a lot of, I would say, sense of belonging you get when you visit those places. And most of the friends we have made in South Florida, and we are only here for 5-6 years, is through our temple. And you meet somebody in the temple and you expand from there, and when you look back and say, holy cow, 200 plus people now.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, temples and places of religion are very binding here,
very binding.
Unlike in India.
Yeah.
India is that is a very personal thing for people.
Yeah. They play a big role in my opinion, providing that service. The Gurukuls, they provide the service to Indian kids every Sunday to stay connected to their roots and understand their culture and history and dharma. So they have a very vital role to play.
ये चीज़ हमारे जब मैं बताती हूँ वहाँ पे किसी को, तो उनको they find it very surprising कि अच्छा बाहर मंदिरों में पढ़ाते हैं, संडे क्लासेस होती हैं, क्योंकि इंडिया में ऐसा कुछ कॉन्सेप्ट नहीं है. और
वो तो और भी बात है. इन ओहायो द हिंदू टेम्पल एक ही है कोलंबस एरिया में. इट्स अ बिग टेम्पल. एवरी थर्सडे दे हैव अ शिविर फॉर पेरेंट्स and elderlies visiting from India who don't have good insurance. The doctors come there, Indian doctors, and they will, the first line of defense, they will check you out, they will prescribe everything free of cost. That's amazing. Think about it. And most of our parents visit us sometimes, and they do have insurances that we buy in India, but we know that they're very ineffective. That's just a piece of paper that, and you're just doing it for the sake of it. But having that, okay, I can go somebody, I can call somebody, I know somebody, is definitely a peace of mind that helps a lot of the Indian diaspora from my perspective.
Nice. That's good to know. And also, I think like gurudwaras across the world.
Oh, yeah.
यहाँ पे तो उनका like langar रोज चलता है, and there are a lot of people who
we
were
often
benefited
go
by
to
that.
Gurdwara. Yeah, we often go to Gurdwaras too, right? So there is no, I think the narrative in India in the recent climate is very heightened. I do not know right or wrong because I'm not living there. It's not right for me to comment on it. But I say that when you look a person as a person and you take the religion away, you'll see that they're all striving for the same few common things: providing a good life for their family, being a good model citizen, doing good for their community, and immersing themselves in that. There are a few outliers, but we should not generalize, in my opinion. That's what I have seen. As I said, I have a lot of Pakistani colleagues who are very nice people. The reason they are here is for the same thing: providing a better life for their family. They're educated people, contributing to the success of society. Same for Burmese individuals, same for Indians, same for Sri Lankans, Nepalis, Bangladeshis. Everybody wants the same thing, and that's the core reason why people leave India and go out, so that they can get the opportunities that they don't have, or they feel they probably have better opportunities there. But India is also changing in a positive way.
मेरा वही next question था कि अभी आप कह रहे थे like maybe 10 years ago you decided not to go back, and a lot of us like didn't want to go back, and in a way we're kind of stuck in the India which we left when we moved out of India. But अभी तो India बहुत change हो रहा है, and every time I go, even every 6 months if I go, like last 2-3 सालों में मैं हर 6 महीने पे गई हूँ, बहुत मेजर चेंजेस देखने को मिलते हैं, नॉट ओनली इन टर्म्स ऑफ इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर एंड बट पीपल्स एटीट्यूड. People are so positive, so exuberant. Economy is amazing. तो मेरा नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन आपसे यही था कि आप इंडिया जब भी जाते हैं तो what are the things that you notice? What are the good things, and what are the things that have still stayed the kind of like same?
I have to give kudos. I have to give kudos to Prime Minister Modi for creating a narrative about India, which is about growth, being self-sufficient, and providing a situation to all Indians, like where they can feel proud about the country. I do not know what the reality on the ground is, but I do know that a lot of his digital push is for one and one reason only, is to get corruption out of the system. And I experienced it firsthand. My dad, who is a retiree, he's 88 years old. When the last pay commission happened, so his pension increased about 30-40% based on the pay commission results. And so the way the pay commissions work, that it's applicable from X number of years back. So X number of years back, when you accumulate all the arrears, it was close to 16-17 lakhs that he was supposed to get as an arrear, which was a big amount for a person who is living paycheck to paycheck and is a retired government servant. So he reached and he got this letter notification from the treasury, but because he retired from government of Bihar and he lives in Punjab right now, so he went to Bank of India in Delhi and he provided them. That's where our account has been set up, because we were in Delhi for many years, saying that, okay, this is the letter, this is what I'm supposed to receive, can you help me expedite that? So the Bank of India wanted him to reach out to government of Bihar and send a letter to Bank of India to pay him the money. And they did not pay anything, and this went on for a year and a half. So he was out of his wits end, and he said, you know what, milega, nahi milega, I'm not going to chase down, I'm not going to. So somebody told me that, why don't you just write to the PMO? And lo and behold, PMO has a grievance website. I just went there, and in the pension department, I sent all his documentation, scanned it, sent it. And I said, this is what the Bank of India is doing, and this is his account number, this is his pensioner's account number, this is the letter. Everything was copied and sent. The guy responded back saying that, hey, we only deal with central employees. but I'm going to do two things. He also forwarded to the Chief Secretary of Bihar, and then he forwarded one to the general manager of, or somebody very high up in Bank of India, saying that this is what your bank is doing to a pensioner who is 88 years old. Within 3 days, somebody from Delhi called him, and within 5 days, the money was in his account.
Wow.
So that would not have happened in the previous India.
Yes.
So I have a friend who works in the secretariat, senior officer. I asked him in Bihar, saying that, hey, help my dad out. He said, they're asking for money. So there are pockets where this corruption still exists. And getting rid of corruption is going to be a very, very big deal from an Indian perspective. But the push to digital, in my opinion, is to take the middlemen out of the equation and have paper trails or digital trails of decisions being made, and are they being made fairly or not. It will take a while, but I believe it's a step in the right direction. That's how I feel. If you look at the roads, especially the interstate, that's amazing. The GST removal that happened, not GST removal, the implementation of GST. Now you don't see those check nakas on every state borders and miles of trucks being stopped because somebody wants to get paid in name of, do you have the right paperwork? So there is definite, I would say, improvements being made, and this is all being made because there is a prime minister who cares about the country and is willing to do the right thing and go the extra mile and make tough and hard decisions. These are not easy decisions to make, and he's the one helping the country progress. So very proud of the work that he's doing from an outsider's view, definitely. I don't get to vote, so.
Okay. What has the US taught you that India could not? And in the same breath, what part of India can US never take out of you?
Yeah, I don't think US will ever take out the joys I had when I was a kid, those roaming around in the fields with my friend, wearing the Hawaii chappals and playing cricket. Those memories US cannot take out. My dad was a geologist, so I used to travel with him when I was young, stay in the jungles of Bihar, doing exploration, living in tents, doing random stuff that will be considered outrageous in US, right? National parks in India where we used to go pretty much once a week when I was staying with him. So I have a lot of happy memories and good childhood memories of what I was growing up. And I don't think that's only true for me. I think that's true for every Indian who comes here, especially as a immigrant. They do have a lot of good memories growing up. And our concept of India is still stuck in those memories. When we think about India, we feel a sense of optimism, a pride, a happiness, because we are still stuck in those times. We don't forget the challenging instances that we have or the situations that we had. We always remember the good ones that we had. And those are the memories that live with me for sure when I talk about it. I think one thing that definitely US taught me was the feeling of community. I think everybody's philanthropic journey is different. But one thing that I learned from few of my American friends was, when it comes to their family, they don't care about dunya kya sochegi. Whether it is their wife, their kids, they don't care about it. Dunya to sochegi jo sochegi. You have to do what is right for you and for your family. And second thing they had taught me is the fact that do not underestimate the power of giving back to the communities you live in. It's not somebody else's responsibility to keep it clean. It's all of us, our collective responsibility to keep it clean. And those are some of the things I think they're good things about. And we talk about Western countries being very clean. The reason why it is clean because the residents keep it clean. They make proper decisions. हम घर के बाहर कूड़ा नहीं फेंक देते हैं जाके, या पड़ोसी के घर के बाहर नहीं फेंक देते हैं. We don't litter. But they're also providing a lot of opportunities to throw in garbage bins. And on my recent trip to India, I saw that India is providing the same kind of infrastructure, at least in metropolitans where I visited, so which is all fine. Hopefully, the sense of civic community will prevail, and this civic sense will actually help people become cleaner by the day. Because once that education and knowledge and awareness comes, I don't think anybody wants to do that. They're doing it because they're unaware about it, or they're not knowledgeable about it.
And what are your future dreams, or what do you want to do with your life?
That's a very loaded question.
Going ahead.
That's a very loaded question. Recently, one of the lotteries hit $1.5 billion or something like that. So one of my kids asked me that question, Dad, what will you do if you win the lottery? I said, nothing. Which car will you buy? I'm driving the car that I want. So I said, well, you're a very boring guy. So that led me to thinking, I don't want to say this, my wife, Shalu, she has taught me a lot about giving back and helping others and doing things for the communities we live in. And a lot of the education that the kids have is around that also. They used to volunteer in temples. We cook food for a lot of the seniors and all that stuff from that aspect. And even she's a NIFT graduate, by the way, which is one of the best fashion institutes in India. But the work she does is purely for philanthropic purposes. And we often talk about it. What if we come in, we have a lot of money that we can give back? What would you like to do? So one of my dreams is to have a trust that actually helps single parents improve their lives. Most of the single parents cannot educate themselves to improve their lives because they have childcare issues. So provided them access to education, providing them access to free childcare during the time when they're getting educated. We want to open up a charity that does these kind of things, that helps people become better and improve their lives. It helps the kid and the parent, right? So that's one. Hopefully, we can make it come true one day, but we'll see.
It was lovely talking to you.
Thank you, Shweta.
And I'm sure people like you will have some impact, not only within our society, but overall in the American society, and even maybe back home. And even after watching this, even if one person can think like that or do something like that, or is getting inspired.
One person can make big difference. A lot of difference. You remember that gentleman in Darbhanga who broke the entire mountain to build the lane, right? Because he wanted to make a difference. And thank you for doing this. I think this is a great initiative. A lot of people, I'm definitely looking forward to learn from my fellow Indians in US how they live their lives and what were their reasons for, and hopefully I'll resonate with it. And if we can inspire one person, nothing like it. Yes. All it takes is one life to change many.
I agree.
Right?
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Shweta.
Bye.